How's it going, guys? Alex here, back for a video. So recently I've just literally gotten home from work. My work has just been busy as hell recently, and I figured out, you know what, it's about time I got some deck profiles out. It's about time I do this. I made some video the other day mentioning sleeper decks, and I've got one sleeper deck on this deck profile right here, which is True Draco. Honestly, right now is one of my favorite decks. It's really consistent. And I think in this format, consistency is really pretty much what we're after, and it's just a very solid control-based deck. The only thing now is we don't have Masterpiece. Well, of course, the card is a bit ridiculous, but that's what made the deck really powerful before. But this is basically a floodgate deck. It stuns your opponent really nicely, and you have monsters on the field that are really just high beaters. I mean, sure, you don't play extra deck in here because like it just doesn't really work, but this is a solid deck, very fun for me. I really like this deck, and I'm going to go into the deck profile, so I'm going to explain it as detailed as possible. So without further ado, let's go into it. Of course, monsters, I play the one copy of Dynamite Knight. Of course, if you guys know what each True Draco monster does, they basically search during your opponent's turn when they activate effects. So Dynamite Knight searches for trap cards, True King or True Draco trap cards. And this is a lot of the times when you're going to be searching things like Apocalypse and True King's Return. You basically search these and activate it on the turn that they're searched. So it's just really powerful. And the whole thing is with it, if you search something like Apocalypse, then you really just put your opponent into a really sticky situation, because you halve their attack points on all their monsters, and you actually choose or get to choose when you activate it. You're not forced to activate it as a mandatory effect, which is why I like Dynamite Knight really good. Cards limited for a reason. Off to next True Draco monster. We play 3 copies of True Draco Ignis Heat with True Draco Warrior. This card is brilliant. This card's absolutely amazing. It's similar to Dynamite Knight. In fact, they're all similar to each other. This one actually searches for spell cards instead. So this one's going to be searching out your Heritage. It's going to be searching out your Draco Phoenix. This card is really good because you need to search certain cards more than you do others, and Heritage really is the card that you want to open up as fast as possible, because you're going to trigger off its effects, and the draw power you get from the card is absolutely insane. This card's really solid. And then I used to play 3 copies of this card, but I dropped it down to 2. I played 2 copies of Majesty's Maiden. This card is okay. It's not really the best. Really, I play it just because of the fact that it's an actual monster, True Draco monster, because you barely play any monsters. In fact, in this deck alone, we are only playing 8 monsters in this deck, and that's pretty much all that we need. Majesty's Maiden is basically the similar version of these 2, but instead searches monsters, which is why we only play 2, because Diagram searches it for us. And this is just really good, because like a lot of the time, if you're not able to search your monsters, then that's pretty much what you do. But the only thing that I don't like about this card is just the fact that it adds it to hand, and you don't have the ability to actually activate it on the turn, which is actually pretty frustrating. But really, you get used to it, and that's why I only play 2 copies of it. You're not really going to search it, but if you open it, it's not really the end of the world. You can pop it with Diagram anyway. But I stopped playing a Mono Roboto on this deck and replaced it with a completely different card altogether. It's 2 copies of Inspector Border. This card is absolutely insane. Honestly, this card is beautiful in this deck. Just stuns your opponent on the spot. It's a 2k beta. Sure, you just like it's like can't be normal summon or special summon like in a weird way, but the fact that it just completely negates effects altogether. If you go turn 1, drop Inspector Border, your opponent is stunned. That's what's so impressive about this card. It's really powerful. I mean, sure, they can get rid of it, but it's not exactly going to be the easiest thing. It's really good against Dark Warrior, because it completely stops effects, so they can't use stuff like Summon Sorceress or even go into Summon Sorceress potentially, which is just really good. Because you're not going to be running any extra deck in this at all, and because you don't run extra deck, it doesn't affect you whatsoever. So 2 copies of this is really good. If it does get to the stage where it is starting to affect you personally, like it can happen during the games, so you can just pop it with Diagram or just tribute over it, which isn't really that much of a big deal. So that's all I play for the monsters. For spell cards, you play 3 copies of Draconic Diagram. You guys know what this does. This is basically just your search card. All True Draco monsters you're going to search with this. And True Draco cards, obviously, True Draco spells, which I always just say to people, try as hard as you can just to avoid trying to search for your True Draco spell cards, because you're going to see the True Draco Warrior is actually going to be doing that for you. And we play 3 copies of Diagram, Terraforming, double Terraforming, so now we play 5 copies of Diagram. I mean, this really is just really good. Adding on to that, just make sure you guys know Diagram is not hard once per turn, so you can activate multiple copies of Diagram in one turn. I always suggest people not to like try and waste the Diagrams. To activating it twice in one turn is more than enough, in my opinion. And the reason for this is because this is a protection card as well. It protects your True Draco monsters from getting destroyed by battle, and by that being said, it's just really good. And popping cards in this deck is really important, because when you come to activating True King's Return and Apocalypse, you know you get to pop monsters and everything, so it's just really, really good. More spells. Play 3 copies of Heritage. Heritage is just really good. Say if I pop for each monster, spell, or trap, you basically pop. You get to draw off it. So if I pop 1 spell and 1 trap, I get to draw 2 cards. If I pop just 1 trap, then I get to draw just 1 card and all that. It's not all on multiple, really. So if I pop one, say I pop a Heritage, I pop a True Draco monster and a True Draco trap, then I get to draw 3. But if I have if I pop 2 trap cards of True Draco, then I still only draw 1 card, if that makes sense. But this card overall is just solid. It's really a lot of the time why I like searching this card. And also, what's really good about these True Draco spell and trap cards is the fact that once you activate the effects, you have the ability to immediately tribute summon over it, and this doesn't tribute summon the card for a True Draco monster. And the best part about that is it doesn't actually affect your normal summon or special summon. I play 3 copies of Disciples of True Draco Phoenix. This is basically just your recycle card. This recycles your spell and trap cards from your graveyard back into your deck, and you actually get the opportunity to draw a card off that as well, which is really good. And again, the immediate tribute summon over as well, which is just really, really good and really powerful. Also, these are the only True Draco spell cards we play, but I play the 1 copy of the Monarch Stormforth. This deck barely special summons. In fact, the only card that special summons off is pretty much True Draco's Return, and because of that, tributing over our opponent's monsters is just what we need. So this card is just really good. After some draw power cards, 3 copies of Card of Demise. You guys know what this does. This card is absolutely broken, and yeah, you don't end up with cards in your hand, but you can just deal without it, because the amount of floodgates you play in this deck is unreal, which is just really good. As we play 3 copies of Card of Demise, very solid. 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Again, we don't special summon, so this doesn't affect us. And for more consistency purposes, 2 copies of Pot of Desires. I used to play 3 Desires, but I kind of realized that I had games occasionally where I'd be drawing 3 copies of Desires. I'd be using 2 copies of Desires and then have the 3rd one in my hand, and I wouldn't be able to use it, so it's just a complete waste. I think just 2 copies is solid. This is really, really good in this deck. And that is it for our spell cards. Over to our traps, and this is where it gets so floodgatey. So, firstly, I play the 1 copy of True King's Return. This card is limited for a reason. It's very, very broken. Just the fact that you get to special summon back from the graveyard is just really, really powerful. And then again, you know, the tribute effect. I forgot to mention as well, all True Draco spell cards, when they get destroyed, they pop a spell or trap card on the field. When a True Draco trap card gets sent to the graveyard, it pops a monster. So it's just really good, and that's why it triggers off really well with Diagram. So we play 1 copy of that, 3 copies of True Draco Apocalypse. This just halves attack points and just completely frustrates your opponent. It's really, really a good effect, and it's not half attack points till the end phase. This is permanent half attack points. So this is a really good stun card altogether, because your opponent might be trying to declare an attack, flip off True Draco Apocalypse, half the whole board. And this is just really good in general against certain decks that really, really want to OTK. Like, I've actually used True Draco Apocalypse against against a Boral Sword once, and it really just screwed it over because, you know, its attack points are permanently halved, and it's not original attack, it's actually the current attack, and on the Boral Sword was on like what 4k attack points and all that, so halved it, goes down to 2k, and now it's not really as good as it was. So also, and it's just really, really solid. So these are the only true Draco trap cards we play. These are the only ones you really need. The other one technically is, but I don't really use it as much. It's just one copy of Waterfall of Dragon Souls. This card actually saves me at certain aspects because the fact that you can search off it is just really good. And it's actually a good bait as well because your opponents might be thinking it could be a floodgate, so they might want to try and Twin Twister it. And then you just activate it and you get a search for any of your True Draco monsters, sorry. And it's just really powerful. Off to some floodgates. I play the one copy of Imperial Order. This card's actually really, really good. And you might be thinking, yeah, but Alex, you're using so many spell cards, and you know, can't it affect you? Technically, it can, but you contribute over it when you don't want it. And that's what I really like because it's a continuous. All continuous spells and trap cards you can pop and tribute over. So it's really, really good. So I play one copy of Imperial Order. Next floodgate, I play one copy of Skill Drain. You guys know what it does. Then I play 3 Skill Drain, basically 2 more copies of Monarch's Erupts. This card's really good. It's basically Skill Drain again, but just for tribute summon monsters, so really, really good. If your opponent that has special summon monsters and you control a tribute summon monster, their effects are negated on their opponent's turn, so it just really stuns your opponent. Really, really powerful. And then the final card that I play is 3 copies of Rivalry of Warlords. I tried Gozen in this deck, and it screwed me over too much. And the reason why is because I was restricted to only having 1 card on the field. Because Majesty's Maiden, Dynamite Knight, and Ignacy are all different attributes, so it just screws it all over. And I think overall, this is just a solid lineup. I mean, if you are against another deck, say, I don't know, Cyber Dragons, or a deck that really wouldn't be affected by this card whatsoever, you can side it out. But I don't have a side deck for this because currently I don't know what to play for my side deck. I've just been practicing with this deck, and I still just need to try and figure out a side deck for it. It's quite difficult. I mean, the only one so far I've got for it is Shared Ride and a few other cards. But if you have any suggestions I could chuck in, leave that in the comment section. But that's it for this deck profile. Use this as a guide on what you could do. This, in my opinion, is just a really, really solid deck altogether. If you like the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe for some more stuff, and I will see you guys later. Peace.